This morning we'll be dealing with the topic sharing using ratio. Our focus on this is the application of the knowledge of ratio. Ratio in this case, or under this concept, is understanding how to share with respect to a given proportion. What am I trying to say here? Let's take an example. For instance, if I have two students share 35 mangoes, in the ratio 2:3. This question is trying to explain that we have two students who are to share 35 mangoes, such that for the first student getting every 2, the second one is getting 3. For every 2, the second student is getting 3. Meaning for the first student to get a 2, the other one will get a 3. Meaning 2 mangoes go to the first student, then 3 mangoes go to the second student. All right? Okay, let's just take a general concept. For us to have 35, is the first student and the second student. For us to have 2 going to the first student, as 3 is going to the second student, that means we be taking away 5. So that will be a subtraction of 5 from 35. We'll be having 30 left. So for us in this case to have another 2, another 3 going to the second student, that will be a subtraction of another 5 in this case. So that will be, we'll be left with another 25. Here, the first student is getting another 2, and the second student is getting another 3. So here there will be a subtraction of another 5 there. So we'll be left with 20. Here, another student is, the first student is getting another 2, while the second student is getting another 3. Meaning this is the first sharing there. The first portion given out. The second time of giving the mangoes out. The third one, the third portion. This is the fourth portion. And here again, there will be a subtraction of 5. They will be left with 15. This time, 2 and 3 given out again as the fifth portion. So the first portion we took away 5, we're left with 30. Second time again, we took away another 5, giving them in 2 and 3s. We are left with another 25. This time again, we gave away 2 and 3, which is another 5. We're left with 20. Giving out another 5 in the ratio 2 and to 3, we're left with 15. Now giving out another 5, we're left with what? 10. We'll be left with 10. This is the 6th portion. Now giving out another 5, we'll be left with 5. Then here, we'll be left with nothing by the time we are giving this 5 out. Minus 5, minus 5. At this time, nothing is left here. So we'll be having the 7th portion. Now that we have only 0 left here, that means we're able to give out 7 times. 7 times. The first person had 2 for each of the times we're giving them out. So in the case of the first students, we will be having 2, 2, 2, which is 8 there, 6 there, 8, 10, 12, 14. And in the case of the second student, this will be 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. So the summation of this will give me 35. So here I'm giving out the 35 mangoes to 2 different students in the ratio 2 to 3. So this sharing is what we are dealing with. But instead of going through this long procedure, we prefer to use a simple method. That is where our calculation involving ratio is coming in. So if I have 35 mangoes and I'm to share them among or between 2 students, just 2 students. What do? I have the ratio 2 to 3. So first thing I will do, I will sum up the ratio. Sum up the ratio. So I have 2 plus 3 giving me 5. So for the first student now, how do I get the quantity of mangoes that's going to the first student? So here we have 2 is the ratio for the first student being multiplied by how many times will I have this summation in the numbers of mangoes given. So there I'll be having 2 times 7, which will give me 14, meaning the first student goes with 14 mangoes. The first student goes with 14 mangoes, whereas the second student now will be, the ratio for the second student is 3 multiplied by, we have 35 over 5, meaning the numbers of mangoes to be shared. To be shared over the sum of their ratio. So there we're having 3 times 7, and my 3 times 7 is 21, meaning the second student is having 21 mangoes. The second student will be having 21 mangoes. Let's go into more examples. Let's have our example 2. Now, we have another example here, which says 2 women share 60 eggs. Two women shared 60 eggs. In the ratio 1 to 2. In the ratio 1, ratio 2, or sorry, 1 to 2. Now, how many eggs does each receive? How many eggs does each receive? In our solution now, let's move on. Just like we did the first one, we first of all sum up the ratio. We sum up the ratio. To sum up our ratio, what ratio do we have? The first woman is having a ratio of 1, while the second woman is having the ratio of 2. Meaning for every one the first woman gets, the second woman is getting 2. So to sum the ratio up now, we'll be having 1 plus 2, giving me 3. So for the first woman, in this case, our ratio is 1 for the first woman, and this total number of eggs in this case is 60. Sum of the ratio is 3. So I'll be having 1 times 60 divided by 3. That will be 3 in 6, 2, 3 in 0, 0. 1 times 20. So I'll be having 20. In this case, it will be eggs. So I'll be having 20 eggs. 20 eggs. That's the number of eggs that will be allotted to the first woman. So for the second woman now, let's see what will be the number of eggs that belongs to her or that she will be getting. That will be 2, which is the ratio for the second woman, times 60/3, which will give me 2 times 20. That will give me 40. So the second woman gets 40x. 40x. Now we've been dealing with the ratio between two individuals. Now let's try to get to a question where we'll be dealing with ratio between or among more than two individuals. So let's take this one more example. This being our second example, right? That's our example 2. Now we are moving to our third example. So now we are moving to example 3. Example 3 now. Example 3 says a farmer divides 240 cattle among his 3 children. Among his 3 children. Among his 3 children. In the ratio in the ratio 5:4:3. Now, how many does each of the child get? How many cattle does each child get? Now, do you remember from our explanation during the introduction? I told you that this is having a first child, the second child, and the third child. Where the first child is getting a 5, 4 is going for the second child, and 3 is going for the third child for the first sharing. During the second sharing, another 5 goes for the first child, another 4 goes for the second child, another 3 go for the third child. On and on like that. We keep on sharing till the whole of that 240 cattle is being shared totally among these children. So how do you go about it? Just like where I explained. First of all, you sum up the ratio. So the sum of ratio now will equals to 5 plus 4 plus 3, which will give us 5 plus 4 being